How are you? Not too bad. Welcome in. We're just getting started.
So weird to see you not on camera.
Yeah, yes. Good to see you. All right, everybody, good morning. We are rolling. This is session 3 of Ignite. We're going to talk about connecting with your market. If you've got questions as you enter the room, certainly come off mute and let us know what your questions are so we can keep the conversation going. Above and beyond that, reminder too, if you're in the room, that we are going to be going into 11 o'clock and doing session 5 of Power Through a Shift series, which is making sure that you are getting to the table with your clients. So while you're alone,
Okay.
if you do comment for the recording. Awesome. All right, so we roll through Ignite every quarter, and there's 4 sort of chapters. We're in real estate expert of choice. This is Connect with Your Market. On Monday, we're going to talk about defining your value. Today, we're going to talk about knowing your market, building your expertise, utilizing resources, and then we'll go over ahas and answer any questions. And of course, talk about the daily success habits, the things that we should be doing every day. You'll notice that we deliver Ignite Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have Fight Club. So your mornings are sort of roadmap for you already. If you're not sure what your face should be doing between 9 and 11, just look at the morning news and you'll know. So here's the truth. This is from Gary Keller from the Red Book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Here's the truth. If it has to be done in another market, it can be done, or if it has been done in another market, it can be done in your market. Once it has been done, no matter where, it's just a matter of finding out how to make that possible in your world. This is like the, I'm going to get his name wrong, Roger Bannister, the guy that ran the 4-minute mile. Before he ran the 4-minute mile, it was felt to be impossible. The very next year after Roger Bannister runs the 4-minute mile, thousands of people run the 4-minute mile. So it's about people understanding the possibility and then obviously taking the blueprint, because he shared with everybody how he got there. This is why we have the systems and models that we do at Keller Williams. We hear this all the time when we go to mega camp and family reunions. Somebody's up on stage. Allison Burridge is up on stage and she's like, you know what, Gary, I did this in New Hampshire and blah, blah, blah. And then somebody from San Diego is whispering to somebody from their market center saying, oh, that's a New Hampshire thing. That would never work in San Diego. If it's applicable, if it's about an action set, if it's about doing the damn thing, it's possible. It's a matter of doing it. You don't get to eat one piece of pizza and say, this is the best pizza in the world, when there's no comparison. You can say, this is the best pizza I've ever had, but you can't say it's the best pizza in the world. The same way you can't say that wouldn't work here. If you've never done it, you can't say it wouldn't work. And if you did it once, you know, I made a phone call when I first started, Tim, but I haven't sold a house yet. One phone call is not going to do it. We know that. We have the math. So let's know our market. Knowing and connecting with your market is all about research and preparation. You hear us all the time say, make sure that you feel that you can behave as the local expert. I was in York yesterday, and one of our great Wiley veteran agents, Lynn Legassi, was like, I feel like I'm constantly battling local and national news. And we talk about this all the time. There's 2 sets of history here. There's the past positive from the neighbor that just moved. And you've got a client that's talking about, well, the Lindsays moved just a couple of months ago. And they bought it when they moved in 10 years ago for $450. But I swear to God, Tim and Janina sold their house for $9.2 million. First of all, Mr. Lindsay, they bought it at $450 and they sold at $650 during a very exclusive market during COVID. And that wasn't 2 months ago, it was 3 years ago. Oh, yeah, I was off with my numbers. Yes. And as well as that, the news is off with their numbers. So their neighbor down the street is giving them past positive, bad news, and not bad news, incorrect news, because they're functioning well, the market's not much different. The market changes every day. Then you get to, and I'll pick on them because it's fun to pick on them. Nobody covers New Hampshire like WMUR. They're the only news station. They're the only one covering New Hampshire. That being said, MUR will throw maybe some information from NAR, which stands for not actually realistic, or the National Association of Realtors. Their stats, when they hit the news, guys, are for sure at least 31 days old. And they're going to pick the stat that incites fear. You can't rent anymore. You can't buy a house with a roof anymore. It's always some bombastic, ridiculous statement to get you to sit through the commercial break and watch the C Block. Or our dear friend Chuck Kramer, with his sleeves rolled up to his armpits on CNBC, screaming the sky is falling. We have to interject. We have to get into a grassroots local conversation with local information. Your MLS, your multiple listing service, historically is updating every 16 minutes. You have hyper local up-to-date information. And if we are not inserting ourselves into the local conversation, we're doing everyone in our life a disservice. There'll be 38 more rants. I was going to say rant over, but there'll be 38 more rants. It's like one big rant. Like a Macbeth, and I've been drinking all night. The three types of real estate markets. There's the buyer's market, more than 7 months of inventory. We don't live there right now. There's a balanced market, 5 to 7 months of inventory. We've seen her. She hasn't been around lately. Seller's market, less than 5 months of inventory. That's where we live right now. Morningstar. That's where we are right now. The challenge in the way we speak. We talked about semantics yesterday as well. I'm big on the words we choose. And remember this is my loose and flowing math. It's pretty accurate. You'll always hear there's the math based on our effectiveness when we're in conversation with people. 7% of our effectiveness is the words that we choose. 43% of our effectiveness is the tonality and the emotion in which we deliver those words. The other 50% is our body language. So said with love, if you're not a Zoomer, I'm sick of Zoom, I'm zoomed out. Zoom's terrible. Zoom is a freaking blessing because we get to be face to face. They get a digital version of us sitting at the kitchen table. It's a massive blessing. So talking about semantics, I need you guys to please stop saying that there is no inventory. What do I mean by that? If I go into Best Buy, there's the TV set on the shelf. That's a listing, right? I see that. That attracted me into the marketplace. That's the floor model. Is there more inventory out back at Best Buy? Yes, there's 20 more TVs out back. They have to drag them to the end of the driveway and throw a price tag on them. So please be very careful with the language that we use when we're talking to the humans. And even when you're talking to yourself, who do we spend the most time with? Us. If we keep telling us there's no inventory, well, then let's just go to Kohl's. We'll fold t-shirts. Let's get breakfast. Let's go home. Watch TV. There's a ton of inventory. Every house you passed on the way to the office today is inventory. It's our job to bring it to market. So right now, we need to have more conversations. Well, Tim, interest rates, they are where they are. It is a 30-year average. 7% is a 30-year average. And in that average of the 30 years, we saw 16. I know a lot of our younger consumers are like, well, where did 2.9 go? She died in the fire. She's not coming back. Print that shirt. Our industry will probably never, according to Gary, and I believe him, and I have a lot of gray hair, so I definitely won't. You guys probably will. We will probably never see 2.9 again. And your 2.9, what we need to remember, might now be the 5.8. I appreciate that. Because they had pristine credit. That got them in the twos way back when. The conversation with that person is, well, Timmy, I'm in a 2.9. Why would I leave that? Because you told me you need to be in Oregon with your aunt who's stage 4. There's no stage 5. Not to be macabre, but that's your motivation. And Mr. Lindsay, at 2.9, you beat the daylights out of your principal. You grabbed way more equity than the average bear. We should capitalize on that. if they have a motivation to move, and again, bold law, if you guys haven't taken bold yet, you're gonna hear me talk about bold laws all the time. A bold law from that class is logic makes us think, emotion makes us act. And it's not like beat them down, get them crying, make them sign while they're emotional. No, put them back to their motivation, which historically is emotional. People move because of, we talked about this last week, the D's. Deployment, divorce, death. You know, they say downsizing. I like the word right sizing. Nonetheless, it's usually a familial trigger that gets us to make a change with our address. Logic, sure, you're investors. They want the numbers to be right. All of our humans want the numbers to be right. If they move right now and they're right, and 2.9 is coming back to the party, they can refi. If they move right now and we go to 8.9, they can take you out for a drink later and thank you for being a freaking genius, because you are, because you know the math. So the seller's market that we're currently in, yes. One of my most of my analogies have to do with food, right? And you've heard me say this before if you've heard me talk at all. Listings are bear claws. Buyers are fat kids. There's not a person in America right now that fancies himself a realtor that doesn't think they could use another bear claw. I've got a bunch of buyers. Okay. What are they looking for? Listings. Okay. Well, there's no listings, Timmy. That's our job. If I had a bakery and a fat kid wanders in with a 50, I can say fat kid because I represent that class. It's a protected class. We love ourselves. I wander in with a 50. I'm like, I want a bear claw. And you're like leaning on your broom with an empty glass case, like, oh, we're all out. But you march me across the street to somebody else's bakery. Say, hey, Stacy, how you doing? I brought Timmy. He's looking for a bear claw. I know you sell your bear claws for 6 apples, but since I procured the fat kid, can you give me 3? Or should we just go out back and make bear claws? So the civilians, don't forget, when they see seller's market, when they hear seller's market, lack of inventory, there's a ton of inventory. They also only think the only houses they could possibly buy are the ones they saw on Billo on their iPad last night, while they're watching the national news that's giving them crappy information. We have to remind them, Mr. Lindsay, you and the family want to move to Portsmouth. What street? Richards Way. What number? 22. Why? Because it's my favorite number. I don't care if it's a Gambrel or a Colonial. What's important about being there? Well, it's right near all the ball fields in Portsmouth, and my kids play sports. And it's not for sale. Well, that's my job, Mr. Lindsay. So if you have buyers, said with love as your coach, that you claim to be working with, my question for you is, are you working with your buyers or waiting? Are you standing on the street corner waiting with your buyers for the bus that's not going to pull up? We're doing them a disservice. If you have active signed buyers who have entrusted you to find their next home, this just in, find their home. Because you get to reverse engineer a listing. You get to knock with integrity, not the average realtor. Hi, Mr. Lindsay. I've got a ton of buyers that want to move here. People do it all the time. But what if you said, I've got the Lindsays, they're in the backseat of my car, they're maniacs, but they want to move in here. When we would door knock for houses that we knew we needed for our clients, I would actually say, have you considered moving in the next 10, 20, or 30 minutes? Just to get them to listen differently, because you have to break their thinking. Now, are you moving in 2035? We'll be back. I won't be back in 2035. I'll hopefully be on a beach at some point, right? So seller's market, it's incumbent upon us to bring more listings to the industry. There's a ton of inventory. We have a lack of listings. You'll hear Nathan, our fearless leader, call it a listing crisis. I don't love that language. So I told him I'm going to make it a run-on sentence. We are currently in a listing crisis, which provides a great opportunity for buyers and sellers. You have to say all of that. Listing crisis is like, should we get in the car? Like Nate just pulled up in the van. Get in the van. Why? Where are we going? Don't worry about it. Get in the van. I don't want to hear listing crisis. Personally, for me. Nate's saying that to make sure you guys are listening. Not to be hyperbolic, but like we are in a listing crisis. We are currently, and we talk about this quite a bit, The state of New Hampshire is currently carrying less listings than our market center historically carries. I'll say that again. The state of New Hampshire right now has less listings than 463 usually carries. That statement lives at the corner of, oh, shit, right? We have to get to work. And the rest of the country, I can say this because Gary shared this on stage and it's real. We are 20% of the market in this country. In 2022, 1 in every 5 deals went through a KW office. If we take our foot off the gas, we can just start building yurts, I guess. I don't know what we're going to do, but the American public's dependent upon us to get back to work. Yeah, I live in Stratford. We used to have yurts. They had llamas and yurts. I used to get my wool socks across the street. So inventory. And this is where my semantics fly in the face of this slide. Bear with me. Is the number of properties for sale within a market. I'm going to fight with that. Every house in America is inventory. Listings are on the market, right? Listings are on the market. Because I don't ask you if you have a signed inventory agreement. I ask you if you have a signed listing agreement. That's part of your vital signs. So absent the fact that Gary and I are arm wrestling over the verbiage, what is the inventory of your market? It's not great. 2 things. It's not great and it's never zero. Never zero. Although Chase Barlow, God bless him, posted yesterday, which was super smart. He and Brandon Elsmore, Red Tree Group, work in the Berwicks, and he posted that yesterday in Berwick, 0 went on. Or there's 0 active. 0 active in Berwick. Historically, though, if you punched up MLS pin, we're prime now. We're not never anymore. Prime. Oh God. Let's give it a new name so they don't think it stinks. If you punch up Mass, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine on any given Sunday, it is never 0. So the falsehood that there's nothing to do, I couldn't possibly help my buyers, nobody's listing. Somebody did. Nobody listed with you. But if you're not at a kitchen table this weekend, what did you do Monday through Friday? Every day on the quick start, I always tell you what the date is, and then I tell you what 90 days out is. Today is Friday, the 7th of April, and it's actually July 6th. So in 90 days, your face will be at a closing table if your face does the right activities today. If you're not at a closing table today, ask your face what you were doing 90 days ago. Got up, I ironed my pajama pants, we had pancakes, I talked to my cat, went back to bed. Okay. Okay, of course. What is the average number of days the home stays on the market? Priced right, it sells yesterday, 1000%. So when you're talking to your expireds,
There's no reason to rush.
when you're talking, yeah, right now in this current market, perfect. Yes, Allison just said there's no reason it should be sitting that long.
Even, I would even argue 3 days.
Grab the horn when you, that's all right.
I would even argue like 3 days. It should be sold pretty much after the open house.
Yes, because yeah, things are you're seeing on Face Weasel right now consistently. Open house for Saturdays canceled. We're under contract, right? And that's awesome. And what we need to remember when we're talking to our clients, and we should be talking to our sellers once a week. And I hear all the time, well, Timmy, I don't really have anything to talk to them about. If you haven't talked to them in 168 hours, there's a conversation. Because when we're sitting down at the kitchen table originally, it should be, it's very rare. If this happens, call me. I want to come over for the picture. It's very rare that you get the unicorn. They're like, whatever you say, Derek, whatever you say. Yeah, honestly, whatever you say. Yeah, you just map it out. We have no number that we want to net. Whatever you want your commission to be, whatever you say. It's usually going to be an arm wrestling match. And in order to build the mindset of teamwork, I appreciate that, Mr. Lindsay, based on our conversation about the market showing us, and here's the success window, never give them a price. Here's the success window when houses are moving. You want to be outside of that. So let's do that. And if we go 10 days, no calls, or 10 showings, no offers, the universe is spoken. There is no second internet.
Yeah.
Somebody in Dubai thinks you're listing sucks. It's a French word because you're overpriced. You can't tell me, well, we're in a weird town. Well, we got a funky driveway. It's the price. It could be conditions, but if you're not going to change the conditions of the home before you go on the market, that affects, wait for it, the price. It's not the road, it's not the view, it's the price. The conditions affect your price. Based on the inventory, what type of real estate market are we currently in? We're in a seller's market. We're in a seller's market. Huge advantage for you when you're sitting with your seller. Mr. Lindsay, here's what's exciting. Before I get started, after you sign here, awesome. Gonna run out, gonna grab the sign, throw it in the front yard. And before I get back to my office and my team pushes play and tells the world about you, I'm gonna go on Facebook. I've got 670 teammates. They're probably all working with about 3 fat kids. Your bear claw is gonna go quick. The probability of your house selling under our umbrella is amazing. Then you start to build your math. Mr. Lindsay, last year we worked with 48 families. 36 of them moved locally. 24 of them bought one of our listings, Lindsay Productions. And you start to explain the ease of use and the speed, because what do they want? They want more money yesterday. They're trying to save time and money. So when you're talking to your expireds and they're saying to you, what are you going to do differently? Politely, you tell them everything. You do everything differently. There's 3 Ps and 7 Ps. When we talk about the 3 Ps and the 7 Ps, historically, when an expired listing is saying to you, well, Allison, I appreciate that. What are you going to do differently? And they think they got you on your heels. I loved these phone calls. I appreciate that question, Mr. Lindsay. You got a few minutes, I'll explain. Of course he wants to hear, because he just asked the question. Most realtors, because we never want to talk about what the person behind us didn't do. We want to talk about future greatness with us, right? We don't want to, that's a breach of the code of ethics if we start shiting on the last realtor. Even if you know everything about their business and how terrible they are, we don't talk about them. Great question, Mr. Lindsay. If you have a few minutes, I'm happy to explain. Yeah, please do. Most realtors practice the 3 Ps. They put a sign in the yard. They place it on the MLS. Don't say MLS, say multiple listing service. Otherwise, they think it's a soccer league. They put a sign in the yard. They place it on the multiple listing service, and they pray for a sale. Me and my team do the 7 Ps. I'm happy to explain. Please do. Awesome. Just checking. What's happening? Hi. I didn't know if you were coming to tell me we weren't online. I mean, I feel like we're not online. I've got 2 in the room, no one at home. That's okay. I'll talk to my therapist about it. It's fine. These 2 appreciate my time. Yep. It's fascinating, right? Yes. They're all on listing appointments. That's what I'm going to tell myself. Everyone's on a listing appointment, which you shouldn't be doing in the morning. You should be calling to make a listing appointment. I love that. Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
They didn't tell you.
Perfect. It's good. So back to the 7 Ps. My team and I practice the 7 Ps. Of course, we're going to put a sign in the yard. Additionally, and this is where the change is, we're going to place it on the KWLS, which populates internationally. For local know-how, it will go onto the multiple listing service as well. And if they stop you on, I don't care about international. Hey, I appreciate that, Mr. Lindsay. What we found, feel, felt, found, love, 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 feel, felt, found. Understand how you feel. We've had a lot of clients that have felt the same way. What we found, though, is because of our proximity here in New England, the major medical, secondary education, skiing and swimming, people overseas are looking at these properties. I mean, Berwick Academy, right? Help me, up in Chickenboro. Leonardo DiCaprio went there. I'm drawing a blank. There's a private school up Brewster, yeah, the other B.
Leonardo DiCaprio went there?
Yeah. We dated. He was an idiot. I'm just kidding. So in the grand scheme of things,
Philip Sexton.
yes, right? There's a whole bunch of reasons people globally are coming here. Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
Children's Hospital. So if they stop you on that, I bring that up, right? Above and beyond that, we're going to place it in the multiple listing service. After that, of course, I'm a man of faith. I'll say a quick prayer, but I'm going to get right back to work. And then I'm going to, and we have to say buyers. You're looking for listings, but we have to say buyers because they want to hear you say buyers. I'm going to prospect for buyers. I'm going to price watch the neighborhood. And I'm going to promote it to other brokers. Price watch the neighborhood is important. Tomorrow, Mr. Lindsay, somebody else comes on the market, there's new competition. If we're not paying attention to that, if they leverage our bad price today for their new price tomorrow, I know you love your, I know you love your neighbors. Are we trying to sell their house or this house? Right? And those 7 conversations set up all the calls I'll ever have to have. New property just came on, more square footage, 3rd bay in the garage, and they're less than us. We want to re-examine the 7.2, Mr. Lindsay? It's a garden style walkout ranch in Stratford. Yeah. You know? So does that make sense? 3-piece, 7-piece, go ahead.
Yeah,
After say a quick prayer, get back to work.
after neighborhood.
I'm going to prospect for buyers, price watch the neighborhood, promote it to other brokers. And you say that with bravado when you know the last agent doesn't do open houses because they don't work, right? Are you sure they don't work? Now we know real math. When you hold a house open, there's about a 1% chance somebody's going to march in and buy the house. Historically, the lack of inventory moving into active listings right now is creating that. But normally, the probability of somebody coming in and doing that, I'm doing that because I want to make sure they can see how I do an open house. And I'm using that language, but I would love for you guys to use other language. I'm big on semantics. Open house, when I hear that, I picture 3 balloons, 4 stale cookies. Call it a listing launch. Call it a property premiere. It sounds like you should have a red carpet. Well, that goes with the company colors, and that'd be pretty kick-ass, wouldn't it? What if you had a red carpet? If the weather was okay? What if the front walk had a red carpet? Well, it's just words. No, make it different. Open house is 3 balloons, 4 stale cookies, and the realtor is leaning on the kitchen island, candy crushing or Tindering. Any questions, let me know. Or do we make it different? Let's make it different. What do we got? Oh,
Thank you.
Sally Stu's in the building. Hey, kid. It's a, she'll understand. What are we doing? Oh, Gratz. So interest rates and regulations. Let's talk about the rates. They are what they are. We are here now. This is where we live. And again, should they change in the future, Mr. Lindsay, you can refi. Should they go up in the future, you can thank me. I would say that. I have no problem talking like that. You're the industry expert. I just got started, Tim. You're still wicked smarter than they are when it comes to this. You're at the #1 brokerage in the state of New Hampshire. It doesn't matter that KW's only been around for 40 years. Nate's little project's only been around. We turned 19 July 1st. I know our friends at Coldwell and Century and all the others have been around for hundreds of years. And they carry that bravado and that mentality, and it's going to kill them. I can say dinosaur because I have a ton of gray hair. You run into the dinosaurs from some of these other brokerages. I'm like, oh, that's cute, Allison. I've been doing this for years. Yeah, and you're using paperwork from 1973. This was printed during the Carter administration. They've changed it, right? You guys are attending contracts. You guys are attending these classes. You can tell your clients, and they're going to appreciate the candor. The rates are the rates. This is where we live. And if you're waiting for the numbers to go down to do something important for your family, how long, Mr. Lindsay, are you willing to wait? What's the burn on that? And I'm sure the way I spoke with people probably lost me deals, and I don't care. Because I never walked away from a conversation feeling like I underserved somebody. Like, I'm gonna give it to you straight. Like, this is real talk based on what you told me and what your motivation was. Economic factors obviously play an important role. Are people moving here because there is a new company coming? Are people selling because they have to right size because they can't afford the house anymore? Because they get their new job with their corner office at Bibbity Mutual, and then Bibbity Mutual sold Bibbity Mutual, right? They just closed the entire Dover campus and moved most of their employees down to Portsmouth. They furloughed a bunch of people during COVID. How many workers are entering? You start talking Southern Maine, what is it? It's the shipyard. We have so many clients moving in to work at the shipyard, right? So many clients moving in to work somewhere on Pease. If you start to notice a migration pattern, those are in command. You get a house in Stratham, you find out in this neighborhood in the last 18 months, 14 families have moved in. 8 of them are from Connecticut. Start to do the math. Oh, these families lived in Connecticut. One of the parents worked in the financial district in New York, and they're opening an office for Putnam on Pease. So I can now target market Coscob, Connecticut, and probably find my next buyer. We have that tool. Our friends across the street don't have that tool. What's the growth rate of the community? I mean, I joke all the time. We moved to Stratford. Our youngest, Cameron, is autistic and diabetic. We moved to Straftopia because they had a great IEP system in the K-8, and now he's at Co-Brown. He'll be a senior next year. If you know Stratford, people move for that reason. They move in with little kids. They set up camp for about 18 years. There's not a lot of coming and going in Straftopia, right? So did I focus my business in the town in which I lived? Nope. Nope. When I was selling, I was always in this office in Portsmouth or the one over on Islington Street when we got started. And we focused on the towns that were moving: Dover, Portsmouth, Somersworth, below the bridge. Nothing against Stratford. People are doing business there, but I didn't focus on it just because it wasn't a concern of mine. And the growth, the turnover wasn't aggressive. Has the government made, I promised I wouldn't laugh. Has the government made any changes in rules and regulations that might affect the housing market? We're going to stay in the lane here, but yeah, there's a lot going on in the economy right now, right? There's a lot going on that is affecting the way people are choosing to invest or move their money around. You'll find this probably more often than not with your people that are buying that second, third, ninth home, or your investors. But your people that are buying that second home on the lake, they have money because of the way they treat their money and the way they guard their money. They're watching geopolitical moves. They're watching that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know if it's the right time to do it and all that kind of stuff. And it'd be our 9th house. It'd be cool, but we don't need it. So being plugged into that stuff. And I know the number one answer on the board is, I don't watch the news. Well, we need to be the local expert, but we also need to know, based on this, what is driving some people's decisions. And we find that out when we start talking to them. Is this somebody who's plugged into the news? Is this somebody who's going to make moves financially based on what they feel is going on in the economy, not just in their bank account? Neighborhood numbers. Huge opportunity. When we started Command, which now feels like 30 years ago, we've been talking about it. When Command first started, one of the big things that they were talking about is when you go on to Billo, let's say Billo. When you go on to Billo, people go on to most home search aggregators, and they spend, depending on what they're finding, the average time on page when you're showing them a zip code view is about 45 seconds. What we found with Command, going to the neighborhood level, and you can start searching somebody the corner of Main Street and South Street, It went up to over 4 minutes. So neighborhood nurtures in command, which are a challenge to be fully transparent, because you have to go in and sort of build these neighborhoods out. If you look in Stratford right now, there's one bubble, I think, if you go into neighborhood searches in Stratford, it's Isinglass, which we call the mall in Stratford. It's a gas station. Because people haven't gone in, but if you go to Miami, Coral Gables, there's gonna be a whole bunch of neighborhoods because people have gone in and built them out. So it's incumbent upon people at KW to go into command and start to build these neighborhoods out. You start to do a neighborhood nurture on your client. And we get this all the time with our buyers. Yeah, I appreciate that, Allison. I appreciate that, Sally. But we're not going to get started for a while. Oh, I completely understand. But based on our conversation today, if we found the house you were talking about yesterday, would you be interested? Oh, 1,000%. Cool. So here's what we're going to do. Feel felt found. Love it. Understand how you feel. We've had a lot of clients that felt the same way. What we found is when we put a listing card and a neighborhood nurture out to our clients, when they are ready to enter the transaction, when they are ready to enter the marketplace, the education that they've built makes them much more comfortable and creates a much more fluid transaction for them. And it's not a problem. And if you guys are watching the market and understanding what's going on, and above and beyond that, when we do find the house, because we're looking for it, and the planets align, would you want to miss out on that? I love the negative positive. If we found the house you were looking for at the price that was right, Allison, would that be a problem for you? No, Tim. Awesome. Sign here, stupid. Don't say stupid. That's just in my head, right?
No,
But we
that's
wanna-
okay. That's the jump that's hard for me, right? Because I get that I get that conversation. I
Yeah.
get like, I'm just looking,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not ready yet, blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out that language to be like, okay, but what if
Yep.
that house popped up and now we're not ready for it,
Yep.
So, yeah.
And honest conversation, right? I would repeat back to them what they said. I completely appreciate that. All of our buyers go through these stages. So question for you, Mr. Lindsay, just so we're clear, because I want to mirror and match your energy. I want to make sure I'm here for you. Are we browsing or actually shopping? Right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm getting in a car with you and we're going to open houses, and the great Shannon Whaley says this, bring your checkbook.
Yeah, especially in this market.
Yeah, bring your checkbook. Because we're going hunting today. Like, and if I know somebody's background, if I know they're a hunter, I would say this. Like, Ted, if we wanted to do the woods, are we going in empty-handed? No, we're bringing the gun. Okay, I appreciate that. That's the contract.
Yeah.
I have that. The ammunition is your pre-approval letter.
Yeah.
The ammunition is your checkbook. If we're going hunting, are we capable of shooting and executing, right?
Yeah.
I want to shoot and execute. I wouldn't use the word kill, but I hear you. Yes, yes. Obviously, that was the next thing to come out of my face, but
Murdering this house.
yes, yes. I don't want to upset anybody who feels differently about the Second Amendment. So this is important too. And it's a great practice wherever you live. Stand at the end of your driveway, look at your house, and think about all of the things that go into maintaining that house. Who's your landscaper? Who's your general contractor? Who's your painter? Who's your AV dork? If you have a client that comes in, they're like, oh, no, I want 8K TVs in the shower, waterproofed, so I can watch Sports Center while I pluck my eyebrows. You got it, Ted. I got a guy. I got a girl, right? So that's a whole set of phone calls you can make. Who are your people? And think about the person moving from out of town. Well, if they live in, and not all people would know this, but if you're up there enough, Mill Street, butcher in Chickenboro, Wolfboro. I have a poultry fetish. We'll talk about it later. In Chickenboro, phenomenal steak tips. But if they're moving in from Portland, Oregon, they don't know that.
Yeah.
So, hey, Timmy, so where should we get our steak tips? Where do I buy cupcakes? Where do I get my nails done? Where do you get your hair cut? I want to have all that stuff. That makes me the local expert. Above and beyond that, then I need you, and that's the other part of the conversation, stand on your front steps and look out into the neighborhood that you live in. What attracted you there? It's very important that we get them into the brick and mortar. Once we've done that, that is very tab A, slot B. And I know it's a big undertaking, But more often than not, the listing and the story we told around the home and around the lifestyle, now we have to curate that experience for them, right? Super important. 90% of the agents don't do that. If you start to do that, and look at our agents that really do great business. Look at, I'll pick on Troy, because he said years ago, I'm not leaving York. He was actually teaching Ignite years ago, and he said, if my best friend calls me and says, I want to shop in Kittery, I'm like, you're driving and you're buying me lunch. He's just focused on York. Now, with talent on his team, he's expanded his footprint and his influence, but he focused on York. So figure out where you want to be mayor and beat the daylights out of that, and you will grow. There's so many people come in, they're like, I got New Hampshire, I'm going to get Maine. I have a college roommate who lives in Mass. I'm going to get my Mass license. I'm going to get Idaho. I don't even know why. Like, just beat the daylights out of Cal Hampshire, right? And with the revenue you build in that state, then worry about expansion. Become the local expert. So be able to answer all these and build relationships with these people too. You're going to focus on a section of town. Door knocking could be business knocking. You're walking into all these places. Don't go into the coffee shop at 9:30. Bad time. 1:45, right before they close. Hey, this is awesome. I just wanted to clear with you. I'm always looking for places to conduct my business. Are you okay if I come in and steal the Wi-Fi on Wednesdays between 9 and 11? And what I'd like to do moving forward, if it's all right with you, is maybe once a month, I'll buy everybody's coffee between 9:30 and 10. Do it when it's slower. Don't be stupid. And you don't have to do these kind of things. It doesn't need to be cost prohibitive. What if you did?
I'm doing that.
And amen, sister. And then
so then they help you pay for it.
Yep. Yep. And then they're going to run the deals of the people that you get.
Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah.
Massive leverage, right?
Yeah.
Then maybe you start a postcard. You're going to send out a postcard every month. The front of it's going to have data about what you're doing, what's going on in the town. The back of it is going to highlight one of your 12 allied resources. And that month, who pays for the postcard? That allied resource. So let's do October. And in October, I'm going to send all my clients a postcard. Everyone in my life is going to get a physical postcard. Don't have to do this. Maybe it's an email if you don't want to do physical postcards. Physical postcard's important though, because I think it sits on the kitchen island. So everyone.
Huge. Like, no one does it.
Nobody does
So
it.
it's like,
Nobody does it. We joked
coming
yesterday
back.
about the actual phone call. Nobody's doing that either. Send them a personal
So
mailer, not a bill.
Would go back to,
Yep.
like everyone's buying records, right? Like
Yeah.
it's now cool again.
Yep.
So it's like this.
Yep.
I actually saw cassette tapes at Urban Outfitter, and I was like, "What is
Wow,
happening?"
that's not
Why?
a good
I
idea.
was like, "This doesn't even sound good." What are you
That's not a
doing?
good idea.
It's like,
And
this
I
is
made
so-
mixtapes. I'm that old, but
Yeah.
that's not a good idea. Terrible audio. Anyway,
Sorry.
yeah.
That'd be so great, actually, honestly.
DJ Fat Kid in the Bear Claws. Yeah, we were awesome. We used to open for Bon Jovi in the 80s. Anyway, so we're going to be so good. I'll work on it tonight. So the postcard is going to go out.
Yeah.
And this for any month. Mother's Day with your florist, October with your like your little garden shack,
Mhm.
right? They have apples, pumpkins, cider.
Yeah.
Everybody gets a postcard, and it goes out in September. For the month of October, stop by Burridge's, grab your pumpkin. It's on us. In the grand scheme of things, the postcard's going to go to 1,000 people. How many people are going to actually go down and get their pumpkin with it? A percentage. And then November 15th, I get a phone call from you. Hey, Timmy, it's Allison. 135 of your clients showed up. The total weight of the pumpkins was X, and you owe me $175.
Yeah.
Actually, though, the attach rate to them coming down, and if they're smart enough, or if you're smart enough to ask for this,
Mhm.
they went in for the pumpkin that you gave to them, but the attach rate is what? They bought some jam and some cider and some corn stalks for their front door.
Right.
Did you offset it? Are we even? Cool. See you next October. What if we start doing that? Why are we not doing that? Right? That's the kind of stuff we want to leverage all these relationships. Mr. Lindsay, if I cross-pollinated my clients with your clients and brought you more business, would that be a problem for you? No. Awesome. So let's do this in October. Right?
Yeah.
what we should be doing. Your team's really good at it.
Yeah,
By the way, I know you know that. Allie's very good at it. So what have you heard? What are your thoughts? What have you learned? Lie to me. Tell me you learned something before we advance.
No, yeah, I think just, I like the 7 Ps.
3P, 7P is a game
Yeah.
changer because you're going to get that question every time it expires. Right?
Yeah.
And the other one you'll get, I appreciate that, Tim. Hey, where were you before when my house was for sale? I'm so glad you brought that up. And I would say this with such a polite attitude when I knew that the agent before me didn't do open houses. Hey, I appreciate that, Mr. Lindsay. Great question. First and foremost, here's my concern. And I would always use an analogy, and I pick on my car, which is terrible. I have a Ford Fusion. I have a lot of buyers who are looking for a house like yours. My fear is it was parked on the wrong lot. Let me finish. I have a Ford Fusion. When I bought that car, I went to a Ford lot. I wasn't on a Mercedes lot. It's a nice way of saying you're overpriced.
Yeah.
So my buyers, when I'm working with them, are looking in the price range where I fear your house might have belonged. They don't, and if they don't want to hear this, I don't want to work with them. I'm already floodgating the bullshittery of stupidity that I don't want to deal with in my business. Because they don't want to hear that honest candor. Like, your house was parked in the wrong lot. You have a Fusion home. It's lovely. It's lovely. Yeah.
It's a structure.
Yeah, I'm beating the daylights out of it. I had it since 2015. I'm beating the crap out of it. But my buyers were never going to find that car
Yeah. Where it was, yeah.
because you were over at Mercedes of Holloway or whatever, right? Like, that's the way I would tell them. Above and beyond that, I also apologize. I fear I never got an invite to an open house. Oh, we never did one. Huh, fascinating.
Yeah.
My team's happy to do that when we fall in the appropriate price range and after you sign here. Let's get started. It's child's play. When you guys, and I know everyone in the country hates the word scripts. I don't want to read scripts. It doesn't sound like me. Make it sound like you.
Yeah.
I haven't looked down and read anything once, have I? Yeah. Beaten into me, my ain't Dickie. You got to figure this stuff out so we can say it naturally in the moment and appropriately and not sound disingenuous.
No.
I don't want to come across as snake oil. I'm just shooting from the hip, super straight with them. And I know my delivery doesn't work for everybody, and I don't care. I'm being honest with you.
No, it's funny, when I heard scripts practice the first time, I was like, oh, are they just giving us literal scripts to read to people? I was like, I don't know if I'm into that. But then I went to kind of one.
Did you go to Fight Club?
I went to I was when I had a full-time job. So it was like a Saturday morning.
Oh, okay.
One. And
Oh, the
they were
regional
okay,
one.
let's,
Regional.
let's do scripts. And I was like, oh, okay. But it was great.
Yep.
They were just like, here's a prompt, what would you say?
Yep.
And then let's go through it.
Yep.
What would you it was more like practice. It was more like what conversation practice.
Yes. Yes.
As
Well, and
opposed to,
you'll notice the company as a whole has gotten away from the word scripts
Yeah.
because in a class action suit with
Yeah.
the TCPA, Telephone Consumer Protection Act, there's a slide coming up where we have to look at the do-not-call.gov.
Yeah.
In the class action suit of which we were a part of, not we personally, but the
Yeah.
company as a whole was pulled into this class action suit a few years ago. And it was testified that Gary Keller was scripting his agents, around the do not call list. And 1,000 years ago, it was, if I called you and you're like, hey, I'm on the do not call list. Hey, I appreciate that. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I was wondering if you're trying to sell your house. As soon as they say I'm on the do not call list, even if I'm looking at a list that your name's not on, I have to say, I appreciate that. I apologize, sir. I'll update my notes. Have a great day.
Yeah.
Gone. Because we'll see the slide, $43,000 per violation. If you have that, let's go get 2 Fusions,
Yeah.
right? Let's go buy a couple of crappy cars. Let's go do it. Let's go do it. So we're going to build your expertise. Become the real estate expert of choice. And this is about being a student of the industry. You're in the right class. I appreciate that you're here. Be a student of the industry. We're learning the market. Understand what's going on in your zip code. What's on the market. In our environment with our Facebook page, if you have a client looking in a town and you see the multiple listing service doesn't have what they're looking for, jump on Facebook. Hey guys, it's Timmy. I've got a buyer looking in Stratham between X and Y. Do a missing persons report, a missing property report. Does anybody have something coming on? Does anybody have something coming on that we could get together on? Learn your clientele, understand what drives them. Find out their motivation or find out their lack of motivation. If they're not motivated, moveon.org. They're going to stay in your life. They're going to stay on a smart plan. You're going to stay in touch. But if they're not executing in the next 90 days, find someone who is. We have people that just sit and they date these people that have no motivation. It's not going to be successful for you. Stay in touch with them. But when they've told you, oh no, I mean, we're truly a couple of years out, there's all the things that we can do. And I would always rate the buyers A, B, and C, right? A is active. A, they're shopping tomorrow. B, for me, I would call back burner. And I would always put the onus on myself. If they're a B buyer, they're probably one great question away from moving to A, helping them work through the circumstances they have stacked up in their head of why they can't buy. And C, I would call C credit. They get some work to do to be able to actually transact. And understand based on their DISC assessment too, if you guys have done your DISC assessment yet. High D, high I, high S, high C. Knowing what your DISC is, you're not going to slip it to them when you get there. Like, I'll give you 10 minutes, do your DISC so I know how to talk to you. When you understand your DISC, you'll be able to identify theirs. And I would always joke the average couple, you know, and I'll pick on the average cut and dried American couple. Bruce is an engineer. He's DC, right? He wants all the information yesterday. Very direct and factual. He wants pie charts and bar graphs. And he wants me to say 3 words, which kills me because I'm Dr. Talks a lot, right? His spouse, she loves me because she wants to talk too. She's high I, high S, right? Every couple, there's usually, you know, there's usually a dichotomy of personalities that the opposites attract, right? So if he doesn't really love me, but I also know when I do speak to him, 2 words. So we do the property premiere. And I'm packing up, leaving. I text them, hey guys, we're wrapping up. Everything's locked. Thank you so much. I'll be in touch with all the information in a couple of hours. He fires back. How did it go? I fire back. Nobody died. That's all he wants. She's like, how are you? Who came through? What were they wearing? What are you wearing? How do you feel? Right? And I'm going to roll with it. Because I think historically,
Sure.
I think historically, in any dynamic of 2 decision makers that are a couple or a familial unit, we automatically think this person must be the dominant one. They're probably not driving the decision or the conversation, right? Somebody else is, right? Somebody else is. So we want to treat them both equally, make them both feel heard and cared for, communicate at their level, give them what they're looking for. And it's not to be disingenuous. Sounds like you're trying to be a chameleon, Tim, and play to all people. No, I'm communicating appropriately with all people. Because if I start giving him, you know, letter from Paul to the Thessalonians, he's tuned out after sentence 2. Doesn't matter. He wants to know, how did it go? Nobody died. Cool. And he's heading into his next meeting with his pocket protector, you know, at Liberty Mutual, you know, she's on her 9th mimosa with her friends, like, oh my God, Tim, it's so great. He's wearing the same sunglasses as me. Yeah, tell her whatever she wants. Tell her whatever she wants. Listen to people. Scripts and our conversations. The number 1 reason, if Steve Harvey was here, the number 1 answer on the board of why we practice our scripts and conversations is so we can listen at a higher level. If I'm worried about the words that are going to shoot out of my face next, I'm not actually listening to you while you're talking. But when I have no concern, no matter what you're about to say, I'll be able to handle the objection because I've had this conversation in either practice or real life so many times, because this is what I do. The Patriots doesn't really feel like it. The Patriots practice, right? Are you sure? Right. The Patriots practice. Yeah. How many hours a week for a 60-minute game? So are we, I know the look on his face. He's very concerned. I am too. 60 minutes of actual ticking clock. Yes, sir. So how much are we practicing for that moment? What's your average listing appointment? About a 60-minute game. How much are you prepping for that? I'll be fine. I'm going to wing it. Yep, they're down the street. They sell chicken. They don't have any listings either. Wing it, right? Stop doing that. We are, and we say this all the time at KW, we are a teaching hospital. Your fellow agents in Fight Club are a cadaver. We practice surgery on them so we can execute well in real time. And we don't lose anybody on the table or at the table for that matter. Oh, I've never said that one before. I like it. Write that down, print the shirt. Yeah, we don't want to lose anybody at the table. And keep the headlines in context, right? But Chuck Kramer said, yes, I appreciate that. You heard that on CNBC a month ago. Today in Stratford, today in Portsmouth, today in Dover, today in North Conway, today in York. This is what's happening.
So the New England market is stable, is pretty like, is not as stable.
We're very fortunate
Yeah,
through all of the turbulence that we've been through for years. We're very fortunate. And this company, KW as a whole, KWCLM for sure, during any major shifting market, we've always grown. Are we getting our heads kicked in right now? Yep. Yep. Because we're not any better or any different than the rest of the planet.
Right.
But the market doesn't determine our business. The market determines our activities. Our activities determine our business. How do we behave? And we've always said this, we have to behave for the market that is yet to come. And a lot of people are behaving like it's still mid-COVID.
yeah,
And people are just throwing babies and money around and selling houses, and it's not happening anymore.
that's opportunity. Hoping some of the
Massive opportunity. Yep.
people who are used to that drop off. maybe.
One of the best quotes from Family Reunion in California last month or February. Just because there's less opportunity does not make your opportunity less.
Yeah, I love that.
I know there are fewer people, quote unquote, that are willing to sell their house. And I think that's a myth we could probably dispel if we actually got to work, said with love. Just because there's less cheese to steal, and we've always said this as a company, go get your unfair share, right? So if there actually are less people willing to sell their home, we need to get to them first. That's it. Know your lore, your language of real estate. These are your scripts. These are your institutional knowledge about the business. These are your conversations about the local marketplace. Mapping all of that together to have appropriate conversations in the moment. It all starts with the language of real estate. Know your business. Notice changes over time in your personal business. I always say to you guys, we talked about this yesterday in York. Where'd you get your last deal? Where'd you get your last 6 deals? What were you doing? Well, let me see. I was getting into the office well before 9 o'clock. I had roadmapped my conversations the night before. I knew who I was going to talk to. I knew what I would talk to them about. Yeah, yep. It was lead gen every day, door knocking every Thursday. What are you doing now? I'm not doing it anymore. Why? Well, because the market's changed. It's not going to work anymore. Is it not going to work anymore, or are you not working anymore? Oh. Who are the buyers? What does your average buyer look like right now? What's your average conversation with a buyer right now? They asking about interest rates? They asking about if it's appropriate to move? You got to put it right back on them.
Why do you want to?
Great question, Mr. Lindsay. What's the purpose of the move? Where are we going? Why are we going? How can I help? What's your time frame? Well, we'd love to move right now, but we're waiting for the rates to change. Cool. In which direction? Right? We're waiting for them to go down. I appreciate that.
Where'd they go up?
Yep. I appreciate that. And we've all had to augment our reality. The house that you were about to buy. And here's the fear, right? How long have you been shopping? Once we knew that during COVID, things were okay, because everybody thought the world was going to end. Gary actually got on and had a national town hall with us. Like, hide under your desk, keep working, make your calls from under your desk, but the world might be ending. We had no idea it was going to turn into a bonanza for us. And our industry drove the entire country because of the attach rate. People buy houses, they get driveways redone, they have landscaping done, they get painting done, they go to Lowe's. They're too tired from going to Lowe's to actually go home and cook, so they go to a restaurant. Like, we drove the whole country with our industry. So they get to blame that on us, which is super cool. And understanding that, well, okay, so you could have done that when the rates were delicious and you were waiting for them to go lower. What's happened, Mr. Lindsay? Well, they went up, Allison. Yeah, you're making my point. So what if they keep going up? What if we get locked right now and shop right now? It's not going to ding your credit. Anybody you talk to who's worried about getting approved for a mortgage thinks that it's going to ding their credit, probably already has bad credit. Let's have an honest conversation, right? And that's your gateway. They talk to Brad Kelly to see if they can work with you. Don't go shopping with somebody who doesn't have ammunition. Doesn't make any sense at all. Who are your sellers? They're pensive as well. They're probably locked in lower. They don't really see the mindset of moving and grabbing a different interest rate. And even if they're not going to move, are we delivering that equity update? If we do an equity update for them and ask them, say, hey, maybe you're going to list, maybe based on the information from the equity update, you might decide to list. Awesome. My concern, Mr. Lindsay, Timmy, is where do we go? Yeah, I understand that. I can tell you this. Mr. Dickey. I've never had somebody list with me and have to move into the woods. We're going to find something. So far, nobody's had to move into the woods, unless you want to. Stratford, Yurt, right?
Still out with the homeless population.
And we have all the paperwork. We can do suitable housing clauses. This entire transaction is going to be at your beck and call, Mr. Lindsay. So if we get into the conversation and start moving down the road and you feel uncomfortable, we can stop looking. But as soon as you say you want to start moving, we can start to target where you're going to move to. And I assure you, we'll get the house. And if I fail you, you can fire me. And back to my original statement, nobody's ever fired me. My wife wants to, but we're 28 years in, so here we go. Yeah, she's saving up for a good lawyer, I'm convinced. Right? So in the grand scheme of things, remind them they're in control of the whole thing. And this is what we do every day. I know for you, it feels like, what's going on? Because you're hearing a lot of noise. I want to silence the noise for you. I want you to have a conversation with me and my team so we can put you at ease and move you forward. How does that sound? That sounds great. Awesome. Sign here. Right? Does the market benefit your clients? Right now, maybe they just grab a HELOC and pull some equity out, and they're their own bank. Yes, they were 2.9. Now they're 5.8. It's still better than 18.9 to put the deck on with the builder. Maybe they pull some equity out and they buy a property to cash flow and create a new living situation for somebody else. And that would be beneficial to them. There's a lot of opportunity. They're not going, Gary said this when COVID started, nobody's going to buy, sell, invest, or join a company unless it's appropriate for them. But we have to make sure the circumstances they have stacked in their head are cleared so they can make the right decision for their loved ones. Does the market put your clients at risk? Real estate is the safest investment on planet America. And again, moving forward, they'll build some equity. And should the numbers drop, they refi. Should the numbers go up, you're a freaking saint in their eyes. Because somebody right now is twiddling their thumbs over 6.2. And what if we go up? All signs right now is that we are still charging the storm. Things will get dicier. And people are still going to move. There's a family of 4 flying to Disney right now. People are still going to live their freaking life. Yep. Listen to people. And this is why it's so important to make sure that we just get really good at asking questions. All of our script blueprints and conversations are a series of questions. We stay curious. We let them feel heard and cared for. And if we're asking questions and prompting their response and we let them go, the people that leave the meeting who spoke the most feel it went the best, right? We don't want to have a versation with our people. Ask a question. And I say this all the time. These are my 3 bullet points. Ask great questions, take great notes, have honest conversations. And people always say, well, Tim, when you say ask a great question, what's a great question? The next one. Keep peeling the onion. That's a great question. The next question is a great question. Find out where they're getting their information. And we talked about it. It's from other local experts. Their friend Tony. I know what I'm talking about. I watch HGTV. Shut up, Tony. Right? Or local news, cable news, other agents. Right? I know we got a small crowd today. You're probably the only 3 realtors in Portsmouth in a classroom right now. I'll die on that hill. They're not doing this across the street. Their lights are probably off. Tangent over, sorry. But they have a nice lobby. It's empty anyway. And then be present. Don't sit there being somewhere else. Do not. I did this when I joined, and this is me. I'm speaking for me. My phone has been on silent since July 2nd. I joined July 1st, 2010. And we all march around. This is always with us. This just in, Barbara, you're not going to miss a call. And if you miss a call, why did you miss a call? Because your phone was on silent, not vibrate. The only person who can't hear the phone vibrating across the table is the person who owns the phone. Put it on silent. If you have an iPhone, put it on silent for the rest of your career. And when you sit with a client at their kitchen table, this does not go on the table. This tells me as a client, something's about to happen, and they're going to decide if I'm more important than the person on the phone. And as a personal practice, and my wife does this all the time, and I love her so much, it drives me crazy. As a personal practice, this never comes out when I'm in a restaurant with them. When you are actually with your loved ones, yeah, I can't do the listing appointment tomorrow because I'm going to be at my niece's soccer game. And you're at the soccer game on your freaking phone. It's her soccer game. It's 4th grade. It's not going to be on Sports Center. When she scores, you missed it. So when you're present, be present.
That's why I'm not having kids. I don't want to get inside.
That's why I'm not having kids. Well, I completely agree with you, and too late. We already had 2. My wife and I already screwed that up.
I'm not having kids so I can be a better real estate agent.
And and we had 2 boys, so she got 2 more of me. My wife's not thrilled about that at all. Please be present. And I love that I'm at a company where I can say God, family business, God, family business, whatever that is for you, prime mover,
Yeah.
Oprah, L. Ron Hubbard. If your faith and your family is in a good place, if your head and your heart, your head is clear, it's connected to your heart, then we can get into business. Business comes last. Our business and the wealth we build with our business will support the ability to be philanthropical with our faith, with our heart, and it will support our family. But if those 2 top things aren't in check, we have nothing to support. And if you're single, that doesn't mean you'll get married. But your family and your family and your faith come first. And I'm grateful we're at a company where I can say that without being fired. Because I love this sentence. We are the only privately held open book company on the planet that runs 0 debt. And nobody else can say that. So keep the headlines in context. Read past the headline. The headline is designed to get people to keep reading. And I know nobody reads newspapers anymore. It's clickbait.
Yeah.
It's a French term. It'll be on the quiz later. It's bullshittery, right? It's not local information. Probably doesn't really affect us. It's on a website quoting the LA Times. I'm sorry. Laconia Academy, is that what LA stands for? They don't live here. And know your numbers. So for you guys, when I say know your numbers, knowing your vital signs, Zoe and I always want you guys to know these numbers. Now that you're plugged in and you're using CSU attached to your command. But let me run through the vital signs. These are the numbers that are super important for you to know. Our business is our numbers. So first things first, how many signed listing agreements do you have? And I don't care what your role is on your team. And I appreciate teams have designated buyers agents, all that kind of stuff. I appreciate that. Your rainmaker would never be mad if you walked in with a new listing or the opportunity for them to sit for a new listing. How many signed listing agreements do you have? What does that mean? It's signed, it's not active. We haven't put it on the internet yet. The world doesn't know about it yet. And 0 is a number. You can write down 0. How many active listings do you have? It's on the internet. How many active signed buyers do you have? Not active buyers, because we lie to ourselves. We're like, everybody in America is my active buyer. Nope. Active signed buyers. They're signed into business with you. How many do you have? It's okay. Everybody started with zeros. It's okay. How many appointments do you have? And I don't mean hair and nails. And there's no judgment when I say that. I get my hair cut once a week. I mean kitchen tables and conference tables to sign people into your business. How many under contracts do you have? How many people are in your command? And the final question, how many smart plans are you running? Track those numbers, know those numbers. What have we learned? What do we think? Give me some ahas. Nothing? I'll wait. Oh my God. 1000%. I hear you loud and clear. And the benefit of that, which I just dovetailed into my next statement. Good for me, Tim. You're welcome, Tim. When we sit with our buyers, or we're showing our buyers properties, stop talking about the features and talk about the benefits. How can I do that? Because I was listening 3 weeks ago at the conference table when Allison told me, when my parents come to visit and my sister comes over with her kids, my parents love to cook with my nieces and nephews. A cook's kitchen is so important. And we're walking in. I'm not going to be like, okay, guys, there's the fridge. There's the sink. There's the stove. This is the kitchen. Thanks, stupid. We got it. But when I walk in, that's features. When I walk in and say, hey, pasta spout for your aging mom right over the stove, because you talked about how much she loves cooking with your nieces and nephews. They're going to be like, he remembered that? Yep. Because I was listening, because I'm good at what I do. You know, it's so vitally important. And there's all these steps moving through. You're going to get good at getting yourself to a table because you're sitting at your desk with all the stuff up in front of you and they can't see you looking like, oh, all right, say that, say that, say that. But then when we get to the kitchen table, I can't be like, hi, Allison, you look great. How about that weather? Like, we can't do that, right? And more often than not, at that point, we're talking about the house.
Yeah.
And we've got stats in front of us. And as you get more and more comfortable, and you're going to go with Allie, and you're going to go with veteran agents and sit and watch them do their thing, and be like, oh, all right, everybody's got a different style. Some people like pie chart, bar graph, boom, boom, boom. JB, Jen Vashon, master. Lights off, upside down, drunk, no pants on. She just flies through it. And like you're leaving with a bag of money and the crayon's broken. You're like, what happened? She's like, we're done. We actually had a client. We actually had a client that called us. This is when we were over on Islington Street at the women's prison, lovely building. Peter, his last name will remain nameless. And he's been a client of ours for evers. And he saw that we had something, we had a multi for sale in Roch. He calls. And at that point, Nathan was stepping out of the business. I was running the buy side. JV was running the list side. Our EA forwards the call to me. And he's like, hey, it's Peter. I'm like, hey, Peter, what's going on? He's like, I just drove by a house that I used to own that you guys are selling. I want it. I'm coming to the office. And I just landed. I was like, just getting started with the team. And I tell JV, she's like, oh, all right, print it up. And she's walking downstairs like, this is gonna be fun. Watch this. We go downstairs. He shows up, Ziploc full of cash. Don't ask any questions. And she flips it upside down, rolls through it, but she also mirrored and matched. He's like going to lunch.
Yeah.
He's stopping by to drop off a bag of cash, sign his name, old school, right? No dot loop, no DocuSign. Sign his name and move on.org. And I just watched her like, but she did everything, even the Latin. She did everything in the contract, upside down, blindfolded, in like 17.5 seconds. And I was like, okay. And that's when I was like, okay, if somebody's moving, you move.
Yeah.
Not like, hey, I want to go over this slowly. He would have been annoyed. He would have been like, get me Nate.
Yeah.
Because Nate's a high D. You know, Nate makes coffee and he's like, do you want some coffee? And you're like, you just killed 3 people. Yeah, but we have coffee, right? You know? Yeah. Like the high C still looking at the bag like, all right, 3 ounces of filtered water. Nate's like, dude, let's go. Let's go. Nate's very get in the van. Where are we going? Don't worry about it. Right? Zoe's very, we're making coffee. Go get the artisanal water. Right? I'm a maniac. She's not a maniac. That's how we complement each other, right?
Yeah.
She walked in with the paperwork. I'm just talking. Yes?
Yeah.
So we have to mirror and match. We have to mirror and match. Utilize your resources. Right now, the KW mobile app, the Command mobile app, is probably more enjoyable. Hi, Gary. Hope he's listening. Probably more enjoyable than the desktop. The fact that you can sit in your car and open up contacts and voice somebody into your phone right now is huge. Add notes into your phone right now is huge. The benefit of this, when you marry this to the consumer app, the KW app that you consumers get, they can be in a conversation with you in their mobile app, you're in Command Mobile, and the whole conversation is in notes in their contact page. So your director of operations is watching you guys converse. They buy 50 houses with you between now and the end of time. All the transactions they do with you are in one page. Every conversation is in one page. And that will eventually be, we'll call this a thumb drive. When you move on and you sell somebody your business, it's going to be data on a thumb drive. I know that's very disappointing. It will also be disappointing if it's 128 meg. Make it 38 terabytes. All the information. The check will have all the different zeros if there's more robust information, right? I think we think, well, I'm going to sell a building, some printers, maybe a truck. Like, what's your business? Your business is going to be a thumb drive. We have to remember that. If you're not building it now, if Nate was here, I'd make him say it. His biggest regret is he ran his business haphazardly on cocktail napkins and 3M nuts, flying around the cab of an F-150. Then Susanna and other people showed up in his life. And like, now he's like, look at my database. When he brags about his command, he didn't build his command. I love him. And I would say this if he was in the room. He gets to blame his greatness on
So for me, my team uses a different.
Brevity, right? Brevity, yeah.
Is it that, can I use both or should I just be, I mean, I'm just doing Brevity right now, but
Use,
your
yes,
advice
I'm going to say command when we're teaching in these classes because everyone has access.
okay,
But yes, agnostically, if you're using Brevity or whatever,
yeah, it's the same.
Gary would say this, Nate would say this, I will say this. Use what's in front of you.
Okay,
Yes.
is it, so, I mean, not that I have any plans of doing this, but if something happened, I can move that to command though, if I ever like went on solo. or-
Yeah, because in a team environment, I'm getting leads from Allie.
Yeah.
I'm getting leads from my sphere.
Right.
And then
I would
eventually,
just wanna keep
if
on
there's ever
this.
a
Yeah.
decoupling, we call it,
Yeah,
if there's ever a decoupling, yeah, you just go in and say, these are my people. So Brevity will have this resource as well. Tag everybody.
Yeah.
Tag everybody like
fair.
ABS.
Yeah.
Allison Burge Spear,
Yeah.
right?
Might put something in command because I'm in that other group.
Yep.
that Works with command. so
Yep.
I'm gonna have-
There it is.
Very
She's so
similar.
beautiful. And everybody's guilty of this, right?
Yeah.
Look at this. Everybody, well, when we were selling, right? Because everybody who's joined the staff now Nathan said you're stepping away from selling, so none of us sell anymore, right? We just do referrals, which is fine. But everything I have in mind, and I'm working on mine, phone numbers off the chart. Email, pretty good. Addresses, meh. And neighborhoods, bleh. Nothing, right? Because all of us, our egos were like, oh, I know where the Lindsays live. I sold them their house. Where is it? It's in LA, I'm pretty sure, the Laconia area. It's in the Laconia area. It's fuchsia, black, white, like, I don't know. You don't know.
Yeah,
And if we don't know that, we can't do neighborhood nurtures for them,
yeah.
right? So it's very important that we start to put robust information in. I should have your name. It should be Timothy Lindsay, 603 tim@leavemealone.com, 123 Main Street. So I can execute anything in a smart plan at all times.
Mhm.
End of story. KW app, this is for your clients. I would recommend, and you sort of have to, I don't want to say recommend.
Mhm.
Don't forget when you go in, I created my account for me with timothyclindsay@gmail.com. And I made myself an end user. So then as I share it with other people, I'm sharing my app. I made myself my agent. Don't forget, you don't log into that with your KW ID. You create a client user for yourself. Make yourself your agent and then share it. Oh. Super important that we're doing this on a regular basis. If you're in bold, they'll talk about 20 conversations. If you're in Ignite, we talk about 10. And this is for social media. 10-5-1. Part of your success system every day. Are you having 10 conversations? Are you writing 10 handwritten notes to the people you spoke with? That sounds like a lot of work. It is. Welcome to real estate. So go on social. Don't get lost. It's a black hole. I say that as an avid TikToker. Got me through all, how many quarantines have we been through? 15? Love TikTok. The irony of TikTok, sidebar. The irony of TikTok, Facebook and Instagram, your newsfeed is full of people that you know. And the posts usually make you say, that was annoying, right? There's a lot of stuff that people share online on Facebook. And I just find it fascinating that I see content on Facebook from people that I know that annoys me. And then I go on to TikTok where I've like friended nobody. I just watch. And I'm watching content from people I've never met and it endears me to them.
Mhm.
It is a fascinating algorithm and I don't care. I don't really. Hi, Washington. China's not spying. This was built in China. They're already spying. TikTok's not stealing my information.
You just wanna see the-
And I have nothing to steal. You
That's
want my
fine.
fusion? Steal my fusion, China. Go get it.
I watch a lot of Bravo. You're welcome.
What's that? Steal the fusion? Yeah, it's all yours. Go get it. So we want to make sure that we're liking 10 posts a day, writing 5 comments a day. And I love this rule. Write a comment of 5 words or more. Not just an okay or a K, which is the middle finger of texting, right?
Mhm.
I hate K. Nate loves K. I hate K. And then send one direct message, or above and beyond that, send one direct message and post something. Have an online presence and be present online. You don't have to be in Insta, TikTok, Face Weasel. You don't have to be all the places. Pick one, pick none. But don't tell me social media doesn't work. It's a great way to start conversations. And we've recognized that as a company. If you're having a direct message in real-time conversation, we consider that a contact. You also know, said with love from your coach, move it to the phone as soon as possible. Get to use your voice with them. If you were reading everything I said for the last hour and a half, amen. Right? Yeah. I joke about this all the time. If you're dating somebody and they text you, hey, capital letters,
Hey.
yeah, that's probably not good. If you get HEYYY with 3 dots,
Yeah.
that's hey, it's just different. If you're a guy, you're like, oh, this might not end well. Or, oh, this might end great. Yep. So here's the roadmap. Study your market center report. We share these every month at the All Partners meeting. I believe we are the third Wednesday of every month, we do All Partners. It is in Portsmouth this coming month. It'll be here in a couple of Wednesdays. We'll be in this room. Joffrey goes over all the market numbers and those are available and he'll have those for you. Preview homes. Go on those home tours. Every other Tuesday, Melissa Lesniak does a home tour. I don't have a listing. Go on the home store, meet brokers, learn the inventory so you can speak to it when you're talking to somebody. Make sure you understand your multiple listing service so you can use it as a tool to assist your clients. If your team has houses to hold open, great. If they don't, find one to hold open. Ask a veteran agent, and this is how I always tell you guys to ask it on Facebook. If you're a solo artist right now, I would ask, does somebody have an open house this weekend that I can shadow so I can learn your standard so I can hold one for you next weekend? If you're a freshman and a senior says, Friday at 10:30, do you want to hold 123 Main Street open for me tomorrow? Don't do it. I'll repeat that. Don't do it. Because it's a no-win situation. Because they probably have a standard. Just then if they're asking me to do one in less than 24 hours, they don't have a standard. There. Feelings are probably hurt and I don't care. I want to watch them do it. Page 71 in the book called Shift is the 7th level open house. And there's a lot there. Trying to do some version of that is way better than, hey, do you want to do one for me tomorrow? We've never met. You've never seen the house. Godspeed. That's a car accident. Like I would never do that. I'm going to go with them on Saturday and shadow them and watch their standard. Because if their standard is 3 balloons, 4 stale cookies, and they ask me to pull off a property premiere with Batman lights and a bounce house next weekend, well, that's not what you did last Saturday, but it's what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Right? Whether we're leading or not leading, we're leading.
I haven't hosted
So-
a lot of open houses, but a lot of times when I've reached out, they're like, yeah, you can come by and you can pick up any unrepresented buyers.
Sure.
And do it with them.
Yep.
That's been great.
Yep.
Because then if there's down.
Yep. Any opportunity. And you'll see sometimes, this isn't really prevalent, but sometimes you'll see people say, I've got an open house for you in Newmarket, 2 hours on Saturday, $50 or the unrep buyers. Always take the unrep buyers. Always. 1000%. Because one unrep buyer could be what? $10,000 in GCI. But I got $50, you're an idiot. I'm not even going to apologize for that. You're an idiot if you're taking $50 over 10,000 possible GCI bucks. Study the language of real estate. Read the Red Book. This just in, and I say this every fall when I teach the business planning clinic. The Red Book is a terrible read. It's super boring.
So boring.
It's a business. It's a blueprint for our business. It is an important read. But generally, like, oh my God, one more chapter. I think they're going to kiss. Like, it's not a romance novel. It's terrible. It's terrible and it's essential. It's the blueprint for our business. Shift is the playbook for our activities. You should keep them both close. Don't forget about your conversations. Are you having 10 conversations a day? Are you doing the activities to at least give yourself the opportunity to have 10 conversations a day? Because if you're making 40 dials and talking to 7 people, you're ahead of the game. But the intention is to have 10 conversations. Add them to your database with permission to stay engaged with them in a business conversation. Write 10 handwritten notes. Hey, Tim, thanks for taking my call today. Look forward to seeing you soon. I'll get that equity update out to you and send them a handwritten note. It's powerful. 10-5-1, we talked about that. And enrichments is almost like an 8x8. 8x8 is like a gift of value than a visit. Like, what are you doing? Are you inviting them to classes if it's an agent in another brokerage with a really nice lobby that's empty? Everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? Yes, okay, good, excellent. I call them Blue Man Group. I'll let you figure it out. Beautiful lobby. Are you giving them a copy of the Red Book? Are you giving your first buyer the Blue Book, which is Millionaire Real Estate Investor? Maybe they're not going to move for 7 years, but maybe they're going to buy something that can cash flow. They're both UNH graduates. She's pregnant. It's probably going to happen that little Timmy's going to go to UNH. What if they bought a multi on campus and rented it to the hockey team for 17 years, then gave the keys to their kids when they go there? And you cash flow the other 3 apartments to pay for the tuition. Right? We never thought of that. I know. I'm the professional. Read the book, stupid. We'll talk about it, right? Because we want to create the resource for them that's never ending. You're not helping them buy a house, you're helping them create wealth. So this is what we talked about today, knowing your market, what type of market are we in? Active listings. It says inventory, but we're worried about active listings, bringing the inventory to the marketplace. Interest rates, they are what they are. It's just a thing, it's a real thing. Economic factors, yes, there's a lot going on. People are still living their life. Family reunion, because Nate is a fanatic about Disney. We were at Disney every night. And I said to Joey Sweat, one of our great agents up in Colebrook, I said, there's so many families of 4, 6, 8. They've all got ears. They've all got magic passes on. You know, you're flying out here on the plane watching the news. The world's ending. And then you get to Disney and people are just like, I'm going to create an experience for my family. And they probably did it on an Amex at 24.99% interest. They could have grabbed a HELOC, put a new deck on, and taken some cash out to pay for Disney at 5.8%. That's the conversation we need to have. How has your thinking changed today? What new ideas or mindsets have you created? Anything. Anything at all. Okay. I appreciate that. And I know as your teacher, I've been in this role for 8 years. I know I'm the teacher from the Peanuts. And Dinah Kokoska, a great maps coach, said to me years ago, she goes, you have to remember, we're not actually teaching them, we're reminding them every day. Because I'm going to say stuff. You're going to hear me say something in 5 years, be like, oh, he's still saying that. And it's in the red book. He's not making it up, right? Because it's like, it's Buddha. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. I'm going to say stuff today that you're not going to be ready to hear for 2 more years, right? Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 1,000%. 1,000%. Yep. Yep. 1,000%. Yep. What's keeping you from doing that? That's today's call, right? Yeah, it's today's call. Good for you. I love it. Go ahead.
A local owners of like a thrift store like posted this post about like them basically like they went through something, they didn't like elaborate, but they're like, you know, anyone looking like we're looking to buy or like rent or something. And then so I just DM'd them and I was like, hey, just I love your shop.
Yeah.
You guys are such a great like positive force in this community. We would love to help you. I'm a New Hampshire buyer's agent, but I have main agents on my team. Let me know if I can help.
Yep.
You know, so just like if they're giving you that information,
Sure.
why
Yep.
not you?
Yep.
You know?
What do you feel differently about after today?
I feel like I'm doing the right things after today. Because I've kind of like, well, this is my first week like full-time real estate. And I've kind of just been like, I'm gonna become my neighborhood expert. I went to a Dover Chamber meeting. I'm like, I'm learning about all the development projects I want, and I'm posting that on my social media.
Yep.
I want my brand to be like, she's local, she knows what's going on, she knows all the local businesses,
Mhm.
she's that person.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm kind
She's
of
that girl. Done.
doubling
Done and
down
done.
on,
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
you in York or where, you know, it sounds like you're doing the same. And that's, I think, what new agents maybe, that's like your niche. Like,
Yep.
you can't really, you don't have the built-in business yet, so become what attracts that business.
Yep. Well, and in any professional environment, we trade our time for our money.
Yeah.
And the agreement is we're gonna get paid every couple of weeks or whatever, because I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna do this task for my employer. Now, the coolest thing about real estate is you're in charge.
Yeah.
The shittiest thing about real estate is we're in charge. Because yeah, we're all really bad managers. Like, oh, we'll probably take another nap, I think. Yeah, take another nap. We'll get to it
Yeah,
later. So I always ask you guys, on Friday at 4:59, sit in the Shark Tank and ask yourself if you would hire yourself to come back in on Monday. And if not, be a different person, right? And if you were in a professional environment, if you are Liberty Mutual and you had to do your TPS reports, and we think we want you to come in on Saturday, and I'll say this as your coach always, I want you guys to kick ass and take names before 12, Monday through Friday. Saturday and Sunday should be yours.
Yeah.
And I say that knowing that you're going to work on the weekend. When I was selling, knowing that I was going to have mountain biking with friends, or the boys are going to have lacrosse or some sort of a sport. Historically for me, Saturday morning was an open house. Saturday afternoon with my clients, I was maybe jumping out for a lacrosse game. My clients knew, I would tell them, hey, we're going to see a couple of houses. I'm going to Aiden's lacrosse game, and then I'll meet you at 4. And Sunday for me, based on my faith, was Sunday. Unless there was something astronomical. There was a client coming in from Cleveland, and they had 72 hours to find a house. Always. No, but when they're moving in, you know what I mean? Yes, my dad would call it the mistake by the lake. Yeah. So outside of that, guard your time. And when you were working at Liberty Mutual, you had Saturday and Sunday off. I know you can't do that here. You could. Most people don't. So
That's what everyone else has.
what day during the week are you going to give yourself off? Because the civilians have no idea that you're golfing Wednesday, that you're hiking Thursday.
Yeah.
And they don't get to know. With my close people on a Saturday, I'd say I'm going to jump out for 2 hours, Aiden's lacrosse game. They would celebrate that. Those are people I want to be in business with. But if I had something going on, I'm just booked. They don't have access to my calendar. They're not Zoe. They're not Susanna. They're not Kaylee, right?
Yeah.
Staff here can see my calendar. You guys can book my calendar. You guys can say, I want to meet with coach. They don't get that.
Mhm.
They're going to have enough of me. If they signed the paperwork and said, yes, you get your 3 apples when you get us into our house.
Mhm.
They're going to get my level of service, my standard. But outside of that, so figure out the weekend day that's going to be yours for you and your emotional energy. We have to guard our energy in this business.
Mhm.
And I came up with something during COVID. And it's still going on now. Everybody's got a lot going on. And the industry is what it is. Thank God we're here. Emotional capital. We only have so much. And I'm not going to waste it on the wrong people. My job as your coach is to make sure I'm sending the best version of you home to your loved ones. And I want to make sure I'm sending the best version of me home to my loved ones. I love what I do. It's brain damage and I love it, right? But this is my genius zone. I love this. Like teaching for me is the best part of my role, right?
Yeah.
And there can be days that when I get home, if I don't have enough oxygen in my lungs and enough love in my heart to listen to Janina, to listen to my boys, what the hell are we doing? So please take a day during the week, a portion of a day. The red badge of courage that you're going to knock on Zoe's door and be like, haven't had a day off since the Obama administration. You're an idiot. We have shirts. What size do you want?
Mhm.
There's no merit badge for that. Like, that's just stupid. So let's not do that.
Mhm.
Let's not do that. Please, please, please. What actions will you change? What will you do differently? And can I jump in, spoiler alert? Because I was making this point. Liberty Mutual would say, sit at your desk and do this today. And I know you guys are engaged with Zoe and I. Monday through Friday, through Memorial Day, it is Ignite or it is Fight Club.
Mhm. Contract law.
And that, yep, and Wednesdays is contract, right?
Yep.
So go to contracts, watch Wednesday later.
Ignite contracts.
Yeah, it's Ignite, Fight Club, contracts, watch Ignite later, Fight Club, Ignite. And we're doing that in the morning because if you're doing those activities after lunch, your face will start to have appointments.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't know what I should be doing. We're telling you what to do. And if you're in the building to do it, she and I are a door knock away.
Yeah.
If our doors are closed, she puts up a note. I don't put up a note, but if you hear me talking to myself, it's not because I'm senile. I'm talking to somebody in a call.
Yeah.
But we're a door knock away. Just text me. Do you have a minute between appointments?
Mhm.
And we didn't have our role. We didn't have the staff we have now when I got started. But for most kids coming into real estate, it's here's your desk, here's your phone, good luck. If you can come into an environment and be like, I'm going to go into the office before lunch, Monday through Friday, do the damn thing. And my 2 coaches are a door knock away. So let's just do that. please, 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 please. So what actions will change for you?
I think I'm just gonna try to have more conversations. Like that's just
That's
what
it.
I'm gonna
That's
focus
it.
on and like get out there in the community and just not. On this podcast, it was like I went to a networking event and I had 10 business cards and I wouldn't leave until I passed those out and had conversations with 10 people. And I
Yep.
want to get my system, work on my systems and just come up with like structure for myself. I
Yep.
do well with structure and then now I have the opportunity to create it for myself. So
Yep.
I can create that
Yep.
and just trust that the clients will come. from
The,
trust.
the singular way to scale your business is to add more nurtures to your conversations.
Mhm.
I need more people to talk to. I need to talk to those people more.
Yep.
And then remember, stay curious, keep asking questions. People will never care what we know until they know that we care.
And I think I can have better conversations the more I do. I'm just excited that I can be full-time now because I can go to these classes. and
You're
I-
completely out, right?
I'm completely out.
Love it.
Yeah,
Good for you.
so I'm like, I'm excited because I feel like I'll have better conversations
Yep.
and more confident conversations when I know what, like, when I do script practice, when you know,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
the things to say, when you know your market, when you're in the community.
Yep.
I felt so good after that chamber meeting because I'm like, I know this. And like, I
Yep.
got it from the horse's mouth.
Yep.
You know, I talked to somebody in the city council about stuff. and,
Correct.
like, It just feels good to be able to confidently be like, I was at it. I know these 4 projects are coming to Dover. It's about to boom.
Yep.
Somersworth, Rochester, great investment opportunities,
Yep.
because those are the next ones. And
Correct.
like, those are where the deals are. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, especially for first time home buyers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yep.
like Somersworth was the number 10 market for first time home buyers in the country.
That's crazy, right?
Because I mean, and people will be like, it's Somersworth. And I'm like, yeah, now. It's
yeah,
what
but-
Portsmouth was in the 90s.
To Nate's point, and I'll double down on this. We have to augment what our expectations are with our buyers
Mhm.
for them.
Yeah.
And they have to understand, I appreciate that you wanted the McMansion. I appreciate that you were probably viable to do that during COVID,
Yeah,
when everything was different. This is where we live now. And I'm imploring you to get some cards and sit at the table. Nate always says, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
that's a good one.
And if you currently have a set of cards in your hand, you're part of the game, cool. Nate would say, split that hand and get some more cards. Go get another property.
Yeah.
Because people are truly going to get interest rated out of a purchase.
Yeah.
So tell your buyers, listen, I know you wanted 3-car garage, which doesn't make sense. You only have a Schwinn, but anyway, right? I know you wanted all these things. Let's get a friggin' roof over your head. Let's get some cards in your hand. Let's be part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Because home ownership in America is going to drastically change overnight.
Yeah,
We have massive companies that are buying up properties.
Yeah.
And we're going to
Yeah.
become a nation of renters if we're not careful.
yeah. The Bruckner Group is like a German company that just built a 70,000 square foot facility with land to expand in Dover. So they're like, look, you know, like that's coming to the area and
Yep.
already up and running. So
Yep.
that's jobs,
Yep.
more people.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
in a piece of
Hyper
design.
important, hyper important. I'm glad you brought up the whole thing about the scripts too.
Yeah,
For sure, this is semantics again. I'm going to die on this hill. I need you guys to never say, I don't know.
great question. I'll find the answer.
Amen, sister. Yep. Stop saying, I don't know. And I'm not saying be disingenuous like you do. Don't bloviate. Don't say that you know things or make shit up. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Start
interest rates are
saying-
3%.
Start saying, great question, Mr. Lindsay. I'll look into that for you. You just told me I'm looking smart. And you're an agent that is connected to the industry and you're going to get me up to the minute information.
Mhm.
Don't say, I don't know. I'm about to make a 6-figure deal with you. I don't want you to lead the conversation with, I don't know. Great question, Mr. Lindsay. Let me look into that for you.
Yeah.
Because the answer is a text or a phone call away. Right? And just because Nate's downstairs right now doesn't mean that he knows all the things, but we know all the people that know all the things.
Right.
Our 670 souls on board have probably dealt with everything that's ever going to happen in real estate.
Mhm.
And because we're so active in the industry, we're probably going to deal with whatever the new thing is first.
Yeah.
So just touch home base and be like, just got this question, no idea. Help me.
Yeah.
And Allie or Zoe or Nate or Gary, I don't know if you have his number, I don't.
I don't know.
I had it, we dated, he hated me, he changed it, I'm blocked.
Stop
Right.
texting me.
Yeah, yep. There she is.
You're not
And
calling.
there it is, 43 grand. Don't do it. Do not call.gov. The best way to avoid any of this is to call the people you already know and love and trust. Because Aunt Julie might be on do-not-call.gov, but she's not gonna be pissed that you called.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Timothy, I'm so proud of you. I think my friend Barbara is gonna buy a place on the Cape. I'll give her your number. The kid from Knife World, they're like trying to sell air conditioners or vacuum cleaners. She's gonna scream at him.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Because Gary's not coming with his checkbook. Your parents aren't coming with their checkbook. Nate's not coming with his checkbook. This is on you. And the problem is that's not you had a bad day. You might have had 7 people report you in one day. And know this, it historically happens the most when we're using dialers, because the dialers connected to the aggregators will be like, oh, we're vetting all the numbers. No, they're not.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're not. I don't trust that. Ronald Reagan, 1783. I think that's when he was alive. Trust but verify.
Yeah.
Right? It's my business. It's my checkbook. I'm going to look. Do-not-call.gov, you open up your own account. Once you start to grab multiple area codes, they start to charge you. I got to be honest, guys, never used it because I stayed here because Nate beat into my head, stay here.
Yeah.
Did we have lead aggregators? 1000%. Those people were raising their hand and asking us for our help, right? And when I would call, I'd say, hey, Mr. Lindsay, it's Tim with KWCLM, Keller Williams, Coastal Lake Vermont. And you just registered on our site, looking at Stratum in Greenland. Wanted to call and find out more about your search. Are you working with somebody right now? Right, and take them through the whole conversation. I'd remind them immediately, they asked us to call.
Yeah.
This is any, we always make fun of people like, yeah, I completely understand that, people want to use these and it just sounds hokey. If I wrote this down and I read it every day, I engage in every conversation with the spirit of contribution and people are happy to be in relationship with me. Bold used to have a thing. They're home, they're happy, and they're going to list with me. People are like, yeah, affirmations just feel goofy. What's really funny though, in America, we will skate to the negative affirmation so quickly. I'm walking down the hall, Zoe's walking past me, I sneeze, she's like, God bless you. Thank you. Are you getting sick? I'm like, I don't know. And then I walk into the office, I'm like, I think I'm dying. Zoe said, I'm sick. Am I sick? Like, we'll run with the negative affirmation, but something positive, right? I am loving, I am kind, I am educated, I am helpful. The people I speak with today will be served at a high level. Laminate that, put that in your freaking shower. It's better than, oh my God, I sneezed yesterday at 4 o'clock and Zoe said I'm dying. Like, what are you doing, right? And who do we spend the most time with? Us. Who do you have the most conversations with? You. And what crap are we feeding us? We choose to rent the space in our own heads and then fill it with crap. Positive affirmations do work. It's neuroscience. It's a real thing. Give yourself the chance to be successful. Have a great conversation with you. Build you up. You're your own hype person. So do that. We're not going to take the 10 minutes, but I will die on this hill. Every night I used to write down the people I was going to call the next day. I'm going to call Nathan Dickey. We're going to talk about being short and Irish and craft beer and cars. That's my conversation with them. How's Quinlan doing with skiing? How's Bella doing with theater? When are you and Tara going to Disney next? He's eventually going to say, how's real estate? Dude, it's awesome. So much going on. We're looking for more families to help. Who do you know that we can serve? Yahtzee, right? And he's a business person. And whatever he's doing, I can help him. We're going to cross-pollinate our efforts. And I know everyone's waiting for the closing table. We have to celebrate the small successes. You're here today, celebrate that. You're going to call the mayor, superintendent, whatever. Make that one freaking call. That's a wealth determiner. Because you get into their head and into their office, they're going to rave about you. Everybody wants to be an expert, right? And when you get to the closing table, and that holiday season, Hanukkah, Christmas, they're having everybody over their house. Do you want them to be like, this is gorgeous. Where'd you find this? Hey, honey, where did we find the house? Oh, it was on Billo. We found it on the iPad. Who's your agent? I don't know. They did the paperwork. This is gorgeous. Where'd you find? Oh, Tim, he's right over there. It's a lampshade on his head, probably shit face, but he's awesome. When he sobers up, he's great. And you're invited to the party because you went from unmet to trusted advisor to friend to confidant because you stayed in conversation, because you were honest with them, because you were candorous with them. Next is Monday. I know Allison did Wednesday. God bless her. And Susan Kenyon, rock star, did Monday. Zoe and I decided for this round, outside of maybe a couple dates, you're gonna get me.
Well, I'm.
He's like, I've got that colonoscopy. I gotta go. Yeah. Can't make Monday. So anyway, so we'll jump into define your value. That's Monday's session. We're gonna shut the room down. I'm gonna open the room back up. You're coming back to the same link. If you use Keller Ignite, we'll open the room back up at 11 o'clock. We're going into strategy 5 of Power Through a Ship series, and we're doing Get to the Table. So I'm gonna shut it down. Sally, Stu, thank you.